Okay, so welcome back once again at Rise Beyond Summit. And today we have one more honorable guest speaker with us. She's Professor Dr. Marin Mia, ma'am. She's from South Africa. She's an educator, global speaker, and she has many feather in her cap. So let's welcome, ma'am, on this wonderful platform, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Brother Akash. It's lovely to be here with Babad International also. And I'm glad to have been able to give my little bit here this afternoon. So I greet everybody in the universal greeting of peace with blessings. Amazing topics that I think everyone spoke about. I might not have been on the Zoom, but I did hear some of them in the other lives, but it was very, very nice. And it's good to learn because we learn from each other as we listen to people talk about these different topics like this. And the more we learn, the more we're able to give off. And I must also say thank you very much for the opportunities for the books. It's an honor to be part of one of your books so far, and I'm looking forward to many more. Today, I'm talking about personal growth, something that I'm very passionate about because it's part of what I teach. And it's very important because every one of us has got how do we grow ourselves? How do we become better as people? So I ask everyone out there a question and I ask, how familiar are you with what does personal development mean? So what does it mean for you as an individual? What does it mean for you to know you need to grow yourself on a personal capacity? Is it something that you actually even think about on a daily basis? Do you reflect about it often enough? Because, and I ask this because none of us actually really do. We don't have time nowadays. There's such a rat race with life at the moment that everybody doesn't care to think about themselves. Where am I going? Am I growing? Do I need to learn something about myself to become better? Do we know these things can be done? So are you confused about maybe what I'm talking about if I say personal growth or personal development? So whether you do know, whether you don't know, the point is, even if you're in between, the programs like this are going to help us. They help us to grow, they help us to develop, and of course, they help us to develop ourselves in a personal capacity in a on the journey of life. So first, I think we have to just understand what does personal development mean. And in that essence, there's so many different aspects to that. When we talk about empowerment, for example, there's so many different aspects to that. One of those is about being emotionally intelligent. One of those will also be about your personal and self growth. One of them will also be about your development. So, being an empowered being is about holistically being yourself, developing yourself on a continuous basis. And we know that, if you want to look for what does growth mean, if you can go to a dictionary, it will tell you a dictionary meaning, which is probably about what you can do to have better skills, what you can do to have conscious building of yourself. So kind of like a self-awareness category. And then it will teach you how to build yourself in those different categories, which make up who you are. So personal development is just that. I'm developing my persona. Personal growth is just that. I'm growing myself in my personality, in who I am, in developing my person. And this helps you to achieve the best of you. This helps you to find the best of you. And, Brother Akash, lots of us go through life and things happen in life where we feel like we don't need to know more. Many people out there feel like they know it and that's enough. But that's not what it's about. Life in itself keeps teaching us. Life's lessons keep teaching us. Things happen in life and we have to learn from them. When we keep learning, we keep developing who we are. And that makes the journey for life even better. Because when you talk personal development, it's something that has to be ongoing. It's something that continuously is developing. And when you see yourself, as the person who is developing continuously, then you actually would want to keep learning. You would have that love to learn. And that's something that's so key, which I find many of us don't look at. And because there are five aspects. If I have to think about personal growth, I think it's very much involved with your mental capacity, your social capacity. It involves your spiritual capacity, your physical, and of course, your emotional capacity. And if you have to look at each one of those categories differently, you ask yourself the similar question. but in those different categories. If you look at the mental capacity, are you somebody who likes to grow your mind? Do you like to develop how you think? Are you able to think differently in different aspects of what happens with you? So you can you can get involved in various activities that help you to develop your personal mental space. And you need to, like, for example, if I want to learn, I'd love to learn something new every day. As educationists, we too can learn new things every day, whether it's reading a book, whether it's taking a new class about doing something, whether it's watching another YouTube video that's informing me things about things and me learning about myself. But it's helpful in how it enhances my mental capacity to enhance my career, for example. Enhancing my and growing my mental capacity allows me to increase my productivity. And when I'm able to do that daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly, I am growing personally. That forms part of my personal growth. And when I'm able to do that about myself, then that directly impacts on my social capacity because it will help me to better communicate with people. And when I'm better communicating with people, then, we'll be able to practice this social personal growth. Because in life, everything we do every day is about socially connecting with people. Right now, we are through the medium of technology connecting with the world. We're teaching and we're talking to people from across the different levels of the world. And through that development, we are socially connecting. We are socially interconnecting. That social development is also a skill that can be facilitated and enhanced when you learn new things. For example, if I can learn a new language, it helps me to understand other people. If I can learn a new language, it helps me to get in touch with other people, communicate even more effectively. So social skills can also be enhanced when you try to grow yourself personally. So you talk about your mental capacity and then you talk about your social capacity. We must never forget our spiritual capacity because we each are different in the world. We each would obviously believe in spiritual growth, which can come from a different source, a different form. So when you want holistic well-being, you must think about actually having all of these encompassed together. But for me, very importantly, is your emotional growth, and it's very often overlooked. We just whatever you experience, you just take in and then you throw it aside. You don't really do much about it. That's where we go wrong sometimes. We need to develop our emotional well-being because emotionally nowadays in the world, things can actually drain us. And most of us as adults find that we are draining with what we see in the world. We're facing difficulties every day. So most of us are feeling drained. Our children are sensing that from home, so they're coming to schools like that. But when you learn to get in touch with your emotion and you learn to develop your emotional well-being, this is part of your growth personally. So you don't have to ignore it. You have to embrace it. I went through my fair share of this and I realized that it's not healthy to actually just ignore your emotional state, ignore your emotions simply for the sake of fulfilling a task, simply for the sake of fulfilling what you have to do. And the role you play as a guardian or as a parent at home, sometimes you have to just forget how you feel because you need to get things done. But at some point, how you feel becomes important, which is why it doesn't cost you money, but you can just start journaling. You can start to track what your moods are. You can talk to your people around you, your friends or whomever. You can start consulting with even a therapist if you need to. But these are things you can do to enhance yourself emotionally. Why? Because we want to be holistically well. We want to be holistically well enough to be able to grow as people because we know if my mental health is not good, if my spiritual level is low, and if everything about me in my emotional state is imbalanced, I'm going to have some form of a physical issue come up because everything is linked to each other. And if I suddenly have something wrong with me physically, what am I going to do? How do I fulfill my tasks? Sometimes when something is physically wrong with you, it's actually because there is this imbalance between everything else that's supposed to happen with you. So when we're talking physical growth through your personal growth, look at yourself to understand yourself. Are you lacking in your physical growth? Do you take care of yourself? Do you monitor what you are eating? Do you monitor what you drink? Do you monitor the times? Are you monitoring yourself with your eating habits, your sleeping habits? What are you doing to enhance and better yourself physically? Because only you can take charge of that. So ultimately, there's these 5 aspects which are actually directly linked to your 5 steps. The step one is going to obviously be what I said. You have to know yourself well enough. So you have to know your inner self. You have to understand yourself well enough. So you have to understand, where are my goals? Where do I want to be? You have to pursue what those goals are to make yourself better. You need to build your level of resilience to encompass whatever comes your way. And then, of course, through that, you improve your relations, because that is what enhances your connectedness to yourself, to the world. That's how we grow who we are. It's a process. It doesn't happen simply because I go and do a course in self-development. It means that I know myself. I'm an expert. No, it's about how do you engage, and how do you pull that into who you are to make the changes for you too. It's behavior, it's action, it's attitude. It's about you changing habits, becoming better, reacting better, learning more about yourself, growing you as a self. That's the key. And I'm no stranger to being stuck. Many of us do have to still be like that. We do encounter things. We're all human beings. Some of us do have difficult moments where we still feel stuck in the spaces. But we have to understand ourselves to know when we are stuck, and understand what we have to do personally to grow ourselves and become unstuck from that. So, personal growth is our journey. It is your journey, it's my journey, it's ongoing. It's a process that has to keep happening. And it's up to us to make sure that we understand our ups, downs, our failures, our successes, everything is part of this so called lifelong commitment that I have to make to myself to develop who I am and to become even better as a person. I'm going to stop there and say thank you very much to Brother Akash for having me. And I'm going to say thank you again to the audience for listening to me across the globe. Thank you to everybody who's made today a success for us all. God bless and well, thank you very much. Brother Akash, are you here? Thank you very much. I'm greeting now to leave. So I greet everyone again and thank you again.
Yeah. Sorry, ma'am. Okay. So thank you, Marine ma'am, for the wonderful sharing. It's from morning to evening session. All the every speaker share many great things today, and this Rise Beyond Summit it's successfully we conducted. And I personally appreciate all speakers for joining from different countries, and there is different time zones, but still people in early morning and late night they join. That is the amazing thing. And with the technical issues, people manage all the things. That's the resilience we learn today, and many things related to personal, professional, health, spirituality, and social growth. We learn many things, and that's the reason why we start this Rise Beyond Summit, and why we keep that 5 things, because we need to balance all the things, balance all the aspects of life, and that's the foundation. If the foundation is strong, then definitely we will grow more and reach the higher level of the success. Just have some questions from the participants. In what ways have professional development help you grow? Okay, ma'am, for you, there is a question. Could you provide any example related to that? He said, in
Sure.
what
So
ways
thank you very
have
much.
professional development help you grow? Yeah.
Sure. Thank you very much for that. And for the question, it's an important one. So many of us start off our careers and we think we're going to be in a specific career and we want to just, we want to stay there and that's where we're going to be the best at. Sometimes, and this is what happened with me, I grew into my career as first I studied law. as an example. I studied law first and I didn't find myself in my career, however. So it became a means to just go into my office, speak to people, meet other people, build up their files and work with whatever. But I wasn't finding fulfillment within myself. And then I had to develop who I was. And I kept finding that I liked to read certain books. I started to watch different videos. I started to attend different courses, not to do with law anymore, but to do with different things. And eventually I found that I actually love more psychology and I love to teach as opposed to talk for people. So, as much as I studied to be able to be a voice for somebody through law, I actually felt that I needed to be more of a passionate grower to help people be the voice for themselves. So, from listening to different things, from reading different books, and then I took on to study a little bit about psychology, I found that when I studied and I looked at in depth detail of the balance between psychology, your mind, and how you grow, because I too went through difficulties. This is what helped me to develop who I was. I found that my career in law was not going to be more successful for my passion. I didn't want to have a job or a profession where I just had to exist for my profession. I wanted to do something with my career that was going to make me feel like I'm giving back to the world. It made me feel fulfilled and it made me feel successful, because success for me is not about money. It's not about everything like that. It's about me feeling like I'm building somebody else. And that makes me feel like I've done something successful. And therefore I kind of moved into studying my fields now. And I have therefore I don't regret studying the law. I don't regret anything that I've studied in all of my life, because everything that I've studied I can still incorporate today, because I use every bit of my knowledge to make it better for me to help and deal with different people that I meet. So I then moved into learning a little bit more professionally about education, about humanitarianism, about psychology. And I developed my own program through my different studying, which is called the MIA program. And through the MIA program, I use education and psychology to build humanity, to show and to teach people. And that is where I found my purpose was. That is where I found my purpose is. And that is where I'm finding success in what I do on a daily basis. So my professional development, it started off as just a career thought in a school, and I went to university with that thought in mind. But professionally, I had to become so aware of myself that I was, I became aware that what I was happy with, what I wasn't happy with, and then I developed myself, and I kind of grew myself. So when I speak today about personal growth, I'm actually talking about my own growth because I know it does happen. When I talk about professional development, like I'm giving you an example, I too had to develop myself professionally. So nothing I teach, for example, or nothing that I write about is just something from another book. I'm actually giving back what I know worked for me. So I had to develop myself professionally to understand myself well enough to be who I am today. And I'm very grateful. I'm grateful to God Almighty that He allowed for me to go through everything that I went through, to learn as much as I did, because all of that together holistically makes me better, better to be able to give off better. And I'm going to keep learning. There's going to be more and more things I'm going to keep wanting to learn, because it's, life is your journey and the journey is never about stopping. The journey is about growing and learning more. And as I grow and learn more, I'm sure there's more about my profession I'd like to grow with. I'm hoping that I answered the question, Brother Akash.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. I truly value your insight. Thank you very much for sharing your personal experiences. What kind of book would you recommend to start learning about personal growth? Okay, so he
Oh,
appreciate and ask another question. Yeah. So you
yes.
can also
Thank you.
suggest some books, ma'am.
Yeah, there are so many, there are so many out there. It also depends on what you are and what your niche is. If you're somebody who likes self-help books, then please go and look for the different self-help books out there. There is one that's about the 7 steps to being an effective leader. There's about the 7 steps about being an effective person in your life, your personal growth. There are many other books I can think of that are self-help that you can look at. They don't come to mind right now, but there are very many. But if you are somebody who wants a book that's more like a workbook that helps you to work through things, Then there are lots of books like that. One of them comes to mind is Susie Osman. She is somebody who is an author who put it together many different ways. So from a business level to a personal level, her books are more about you working through the book. There's also Dr. Phil's book, who actually helps you to draw yourself. There are many books like that. There's Louise Hay. She actually teaches you affirmations from a personal capacity. How do you build yourself through what you go through? These are just on the top of my head. But Brother Kash, if you need me to, and to the participant who wants that, I can send a few names of books with the author to Brother Akash, and he will post it on the group, and the participant will be able to get more details there.
With your permission, if I can share, if should I share some books name?
Yes, yes, please,
So you
please.
can, so people can write, sorry, people can read books for personal and professional development. The magic of thinking big is the one of the book. That book is also one of the good book. How to win friends and influence people is one of the great book. Ikigai is one of the great book. Atomic Habit is one of the great book. Five Essential Qualities for Habits is one of the great book, and Five Essential Qualities for Success is also one of the great book. Last two books wrote by Akash Babat and from India, so you can find it on Amazon. So thank you, Marin ma'am, and thank you, Marianne Jean and Consilo. Sorry for pronunciation because I'm very bad in pronunciation, but I really appreciate you people join and motivate our guest speakers. And thank you, ma'am, for your valuable time. I would truly appreciate having a list of recommended books. Sure, sure, definitely, sir. I have your WhatsApp number. I will share links also and name of the books also.
I will send for
Thank you
you a
for that.
postcard, and then you will
Yeah,
give
yeah,
to him. Okay.
sure, sure, ma'am. Please share me. So thank you once again, and here we will try to end the summit. So it's time to end. So thank you, and hopefully we will plan again bigger summit and with the maximum people next month. So February end we have one more virtual summit. With that summit we will bring something bigger things and bring lots of change. And thank you. Sure, sure, sure. You can call us, yeah, WhatsApp us after the meeting anytime. Thank you all. Let's bye bye.